On the cold, snowy morning of February 24th, 1916, journalists from the Library of Congress arrive at 163 West 131st Street, Harlem, New York, intent on documenting the legend of the King of Ragtime. The two journalists, Charles and Otto, study the two-story Harlem brownstone from the sidewalk. Armed with a notebook and a portable phonograph wrapped in thick cloth, snowflakes adorn their top hats and long black peacoats.
"This is it,"
Charles says, squinting his eyes, looking up at the second story.
163 West 131st Street.
Otto confirms, looking at a note before tucking it back into the pocket inside of his coat. The two share a silent glance before making their way up the steps. To their surprise, a middle-aged woman is already waiting at the door, opening it just as they approach. She's an imposing figure, dressed in colorful formal wear with big hair that sits atop her pretty pearly earrings. Her presence commands the attention of all inside of it.
"Well, hello there, madam. You must be..."
Lottie Stokes.
She interjects, offering her hand. Charles and Otto introduce themselves as Lottie lets them inside and closes the door behind them.
You wouldn't want the snow to ruin your fancy machine there. With yesterday's luck, it'll be knee-high to a giant by noon.
Yes'm, most certainly not.
Now, I came down because I didn't want to take the chance of you all knocking and causing a big fuss. It'll be better for him to see us all enter together anyway. That way he knows you gentlemen pose no harm.
Lottie begins leading them up the cold, dimly gaslit stairwell.
"How is he? Last I heard, he was having trouble moving. He could barely remember his own name."
Charles quickly turns over his shoulder to scold him before following up.
"What my partner here means to say is that we were very sorry to hear about your husband's condition, ma'am."
She continues leading the gentleman up the last flight with no response. As noisy as it was, the footsteps and loud crackling of the old wooden staircase never felt so ironically silent.
So far, so good today. But it's only morning. Lord knows what the rest of the day will bring.
They arrive at a door with the number 2 etched into its old rugged wood. Lottie grabs the knob before turning over her right shoulder to address the men.
Let him take his time with the questions. Should you miss something, or if he gets confused, you look to me for clarity. I make myself plain?
She is gripping the doorknob in one hand and extending her index finger toward the ceiling with the other.
"Real simple and plain."
Charles and Otto nervously smirk as they nod assuringly. After letting the tension of unwavering eye contact burn for a moment, Lottie turns back toward the door, twists the knob, and walks it open. Charles and Otto fidget in anticipation, poised for entry, peeking over Lottie's hair. They all slowly enter, and she closes the door behind them. The morning sun and its reflection from the purely white snow cast a luminous glow on Lottie's studio apartment decor. Below the window, a couch and chairs woven with shiny black horsehair sits next to a cornered fiddle fig leaf tree. On an adjacent wall hangs an old portrait of a stone-faced Booker T. Washington, and beneath it, a copy of his autobiography, Up From Slavery, is resting on top of a mantle decorated with knickknacks and a book on counterpoint. Just below the mantle, a tempered fire erodes cold embers into ash as a man in a wheelchair parked about 2 feet away sits idly, gazing into the warm allure. He never even slightly turns to acknowledge their entry.
Go on, make yourselves at home.
Lottie is hastily walking around toward the fire, while Charles and Otto only take a few steps closer, transfixed at the sight of this man. It's as if they've seen a ghost.
Scotty, these are the kind gentlemen from the press that I told you about.
She wheels him around facing Charles and Otto. The man is no other than Scott Joplin himself, a great American composer who seems to have taken a nosedive from prosperity with propellers attached to the bottom of his feet. His head is slightly tilted down, making it harder to see his face, which appears to be permanently scorned. He offers no words as he stares at his lap, where his occasionally spasming hands rest. Though he's dressed elegantly in a freshly pressed brown wool suit, it hardly distracts from his cold disposition. From the top down, he looks miserable. Charles makes his way over to Joplin.
"The Scott Joplin. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Maestro. My name is Charles, and this is my partner, Otto."
Otto silently waves from behind Charles.
"We're from the Library of Congress and wish to hear as much about your life as you're willing to share with us this morning. Does that sound all right?"
Charles is extending his hand for a handshake, but Joplin non-verbally declines, never even looking up at him.
"We'll take anything that you want to share, Mr. Joplin. How this goes is wholly up to you."
Charles cringes.
Oh, Christ. He's not deaf. He and everybody else at this residence can hear you real well. Just focus on getting all set up. I will prepare him.
Charles and Otto scurry over to the furniture and begin moving it, setting up the interview space. Otto unveils the phonograph and places it on a table that he centers in front of Joplin, while Charles pulls up a chair, sits beside the phonograph, and takes out his notebook. He begins writing as Otto assembles the wax for recording. Meanwhile, Lottie straightens Joplin's suit before moving up to comb his hair. It's as though she's preparing him for a television interview. From the journalist's eavesdropping point of view, she murmurs, inviting the Maestro to look up to her with a pleading eye. Then, he looks at them. The energy of his glare is palpable. For the first time since they arrived, Joplin is responding. Lottie pulls up a nearby stool and sits by his side. She's firmly gripping his hand.
Shall we begin?
Yes, we shall.
Otto gives the lever a crank, sending the wax cylinder into a spiral before offering Charles a confirming nod.
It is an immense pleasure to be here with you, Mr. Joplin, Mrs. Stokes. Thank you for allowing us into your home.
Joplin is silent, with his eyes locked on Charles. He listens, but does not speak.
Scott, can you tell me a little bit about ragtime? What is ragtime music?
Charles is sinking into his chair, folding his left leg over his right, trying desperately to relax the tension of Joplin's glare, but to no avail. Joplin sits silently.
He doesn't like that question much. He always says that if you have to ask, you'll never know.
Yeah, too vague. Okay, talk to me about the cutting contests of the Midwest. We hear folks traveled far and wide to make those.
Joplin doesn't respond.
Piano playing is a sensitive subject of discussion for him.
Charles is getting frustrated.
Where are we, Scott? What street are we on? Okay, well, this has proven futile. Otto, wrap it.
Morgan Street.
All eyes quickly land on Joplin. The room goes silent with the exception of the needle etching into the winding wax. Otto adjusts the horn for a better sound as Charles scoots to the edge of his seat.
What was that, sir?
You asked what street we were on. We're on Morgan Street.
The room is tense. As Joplin slowly descended into a demented state, Charles decided that he wouldn't let awkwardness stand in the way of his journalism.
Sir, last I checked, this was 131st Street. It certainly was that way when we got here. Now, unless we're in the wrong place...
It's Morgan Street.
Lottie begins gripping Joplin's hand even tighter. Charles looks over at Otto, who offers him a silent shrug, and after a moment, he picks his notebook back up, clicks his pen, and writes, "Memories on Morgan Street" in the header section of the page.
Yes, Morgan Street. My mistake. My apologies. Say, Mr. Joplin, I'm curious. Does that photo mean anything to you?
Charles is pointing at the portrait of the man above the mantel. Joplin looks over at it, and after a moment,
It'll do a man no good to permit his grievances to overshadow his opportunities. You can spend a month of Sundays carrying on, trying to make sense of the world, the hate in one man's heart, the evil in his eyes. You go on, trot that road all the way down to the valley. Sure enough, it'll take you there. I'm among the class of men who march onward to the hills.
What are you searching for?
Same as the next man, really. I dare to say I'll tire long before the job is finished. But as long as it's up to me, well, I won't stop until all the beauty is found and all the story is told.
Charles is admittedly confused. He looks to Otto, who is faking a nod as though he is following Joplin. Then, back at Lottie, whose face slowly rises into a smirk as she settles in closer to his side.
Well then, let's hear this story.
He leans in closer to Joplin. The snowfall intensifies as the fire grows into a tranquil blaze. Everyone in the room could barely understand the man, but in that moment, it became clear that the fate of the future was in every recollection of the past. Where am I?
Hello, Royce.
Who are you?
I'm Scott. Scott Joplin.
Scott Joplin? The first artist to live to see himself go platinum. The king of ragtime. The entertainer?
Well, not exactly in the flesh, but yours truly.
What is this place?
This is the Phantom Between, or as I like to call it, Dreamland.
Is this real? Are you real?
Depends on what you mean by real. Walk with me, Royce. Dreamland is where we untethered souls come to communicate with the other side. We confront you with the unknown to help bring you to your higher self.
Interesting. But why is it a forest? Looks kinda...
Wild? This is your wildest dream, Royce. As peculiar as it is, a journey of self-exploration and revelation surely awaits. And I must say, you've tapped into the right channel.
Dang, okay. I guess I'm really tapped in out here in the Dreamland. I'm not exactly sure why they're your channel. Oh, snap, wait, the museum. I play ragtime for people who come and tour your old apartment in St. Louis. I must have fell asleep there last night after work.
No, don't worry. I've been watching you for some time now. What if I told you that fate brought you here for a reason?
What's the reason?
Royce, I'm dying.
I thought you already did.
My legacy, Royce. Black American music, popular music. As I fade out of the memory of the culture, I lose my influence. With no influence, I can't connect with people like you.
But ragtime died over a century ago. I mean, don't you think it's a little late to try to save it?
Save it? It's not about resurrecting the past. We've come to a time where the culture has forgotten about originality. It's about finding the beauty that makes us who we are, Royce. Once upon a time, the United States didn't have a national voice. So folks just tried to turn her into another European parrot. If it wasn't the German waltz, it was the Irish jig. If it wasn't that, it was the Sousa March. Boy, did she love Sousa. She'd march herself to the end of the earth, beating her drum of so-called independence. But between the European march and hers, only an expert could tell the difference. Do you know when that changed, Royce?
When did March music change? The first day of April? I don't know.
It wasn't until all those people who looked like you and I had been emancipated, until all the voices could contribute, that truly American popular music was born. Isn't that something? She could shout and shout about independence and freedom from the highest rooftop in the square, but nobody even heard her until she meant it. Our nation's music is an emblem of the freedom to express ourselves.
Wow. I guess I never thought of it that way.
Most don't. Many never will. As beautiful as it is, I fear we'll all be completely lost as your generation becomes more and more hypnotized by algorithms, which is apparently where true self-expression goes to die.
Okay, wait. It doesn't have to be that way. Like, we could have a big cultural flashback Friday or something where we celebrate our ancestors. I guess we have Black History Month. Is Black History Month just Flashback February?
Royce, I need you to hear me clearly. Someday you may join me here. But for now, I'm afraid this may be our only opportunity to speak while you're still able to put my words into action.
What is it? What you need me to do?
I need you to save pop music.
Pop music? What do you mean, save? Wait, hold up, don't go. How will I even know if I saved it?
Look up to the stars that light your way in the dark, and you'll know, just like we knew. Keep the dream alive, Royce. Save pop music.
What does that even mean? Wait! Okay. I'm getting money. They wanna hate cause they see how we do. We came from nothing, struggling, hustling. I gotta stay on my grind cause I see all these dollar signs. She wanna love me, touch me, rub me, and try to date cause she see how we move. I'm getting money. I gotta stay on my grind cause I want all these dollar signs. Way back then but now we all grown up. Stuffing money in my tummies, I'm the boss Angelica. All these hotties monetize me, now I got my bands up. Paid my price, I earned my stripes, I'm king of America. Yeah, I'm up on my mommy, your girl call me handsome. Every time she at my show, I make her throw her hands up. Think I might be about to blow, I'm steady taking chances. Destiny stay on my phone so I can't even answer. No sir, I got ladies trying to chase me with a baby, woohoo. Every day we ride Mercedes, came from nothing, woohoo. She wanna date me but was flaky like a week ago. Migos Casa got me popping with my bros and came from nothing, we was stressed, but now we blessed like I do. Yeah, I like to show my face, plus I get paid when I do. She said she love me cause I make her your lady. I'm getting money, money, money. They wanna hate cause they see how we do. We came from nothing, struggling, hustling. I gotta stay on my grind cause I see all these dollar signs. She wanna love me, touch me, rub me, and try to date cause she see how we move. I'm getting money, money, money. I gotta stay on my grind cause I want all these dollar signs.
Music is an emblem of the freedom to express ourselves. The culture has forgotten about originality. It's about finding the beauty that makes us who we are, Royce. What if I told you that fate brought you here for a reason? I need you to save pop music.
I don't even know if I saved it.
Look up to the stars and you'll know, just like we knew. Look up to the stars and you'll know.
I'm getting money, money, money.
Keep the dream alive, Royce.